In this episode of PassFCE, what is the FCE exam? Why take the first certificate exam? And how can you register with Cambridge? All this and more in the very first episode of PassFCE. Welcome to PassFCE, a Mention English podcast specifically created to help you pass the Cambridge First Certificate in English exam. I'm Craig. I'm a teacher at the British Council in Valencia, Spain. I'm also a Cambridge oral examiner, which means a speaking examiner, and I have over 20 years of teaching experience. So let's begin with what exactly is the FCE exam? Well, the Cambridge English First, also known as First Certificate in English, or FCE, is an upper intermediate level qualification. Level B2 in the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, the CEF, or CEFR. You may have seen or you may have heard in some places these references for languages, B1, B2, C1, etc. It's a way of everybody agreeing on particular levels of English. So the first certificate exam is at level B2. Level B1 is PET, P-E-T, which is the preliminary English test. So that is below the level of FCE. And above the level of FCE is CAE, Cambridge Certificate in Advanced English. I'll put a link in the show notes to this episode which shows you a table of all of the Cambridge exams, so you can see which level is which. The exam is offered, or the exam comes in two variations or two flavours. There's the Cambridge English First for adult learners, for adults, and there's the Cambridge English First for schools. Both of these versions are at the same level of English, B2, and they both have the same exam format, which is there are 4 papers and you get the same qualification, the first certificate in English. The only difference between these two versions is that the topics or the subjects in the For Schools version have been targeted or aimed at the interests and experiences of school-aged learners. So the first certificate for schools exam is really for children of 13 or 14 years old up to 16 or 17 years old. Okay, so the exam itself, what is it? The exam has 4 papers: a reading and use of English paper, a listening paper, a writing paper, and a speaking paper. You usually do the reading and use of English, the listening and the writing on the same day at a centre that is recognised by Cambridge exams. So you go to one place and you do those 3 exams together. Usually you do the speaking on a different day. It's also possible to do a computer-based exam. And this is the same exam, but it's more for people who feel more comfortable with a mouse and a keyboard and a computer rather than a pen and pencil. There are some advantages with the computer-based exam. You get the results quicker, about 2 weeks after the test. there is an online timer, like a clock on the computer screen, which helps you with your timing during the exam. There is also a digital counter which shows you how many words you're writing when you do the writing paper. And you get headphones or earphones that you can adjust the volume when you're listening in the listening test. The exam is the same exam as the pen and paper or the pencil and paper exam. And if you want to see examples of the exam, I will give you a link in the show notes to some sample tests on the website. So, why take the exam? What's the point of taking the FCE exam? Well, it's accepted globally, all around the world. There's a long list of universities and employers and companies that accept and look for people with the first certificate exam. Employers really like it. It proves that you can use everyday written and spoken English for work and study purposes. It shows you have a minimum level of English to function in a job, to work at a particular level of English, and that you have this level of English to study abroad in a different country. So if you don't need it now, maybe you'll need it in the future. And also, it gives you a reason to study. It gives you a goal, an aim to study towards. Sometimes you take a language course and it's great and you have classmates and the teacher's wonderful, but you're just following the book. There's no real final aim or final goal or objective at the end of the course. If you work towards this FCE exam, then it gives you something to aim for in the future. So, how can you take it? Well, you have to register with Cambridge. You have to register with the Cambridge University in the UK. Now, you can do this in many places all around the world. There are 2,800 Cambridge exam centres worldwide. So there must be one in your country that you could go to and register with. So you can go online and look at the Cambridge website. And again, I will give you the link in the show notes to this episode number 1. And just write in where you live, which city, which country, and then you can see the nearest Cambridge centre near you. So you can register there. How much does it cost? Well, it depends where you take it. It depends which country you're in. In Spain, where I live, it's about €200, a bit less than €200, and this is at the end of 2014. Now, the exam is changing next year in 2015, so maybe the price will change too. I don't know. Well, that's it for the first episode of PassFCE. In future episodes, I would very much like to help you to pass this exam using my experience and the classes I'm teaching at the moment to give you tips and advice on how to study. But in the next episode number 2, we're going to speak about if you have the level for the exam. What level is your English now at the moment? Is it a sufficient level to take the exam? So what do you do if you have the level now? And also, what do you do if you don't have the level? That's for next episode. Thank you for listening, and leave a comment or a question on the webpage at inglespodcast.com. See you next time.